All right. Good evening, folks. This is Captain Jack here, and I am joined by Mr. Jarrod Bunch. Jarrod, I appreciate you being here, sir. And it's taken a while for this and you're always waiting on me because I had some problems before with my internet, and then that came down. I had to redo the internet, and then lo and behold, the other day, my entire Facebook gets taken down, and I'm very happy that I'm smart enough to figure out, hey, Jarrod Bunch, he has other social media. So I got a hold of you, and we did all of the information that we needed to do to transcribe with that. And I was very happy to see that actually took place. So again, Mr. Bunch, I'm very, very happy to have you here with all of us here on the Black Shield and Galleon Wheel webcast here on Captain Jack's YouTube channel. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well. You know, those things that happen, they happen to pirates, huh? Pirates go through a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I tell you, man. I tell you, you know, it's the curse of the folks that don't like pirates. And you might see in the background, because I'm going to tell everybody for the audience here, I put the hockey game on. And there's a very good reason why I put the hockey game on for something for me, you know, for in the background, because locally here in Tampa tonight, they are rebroadcasting a certain Super Bowl with the number of 37 that I'm sure that most Raider fans do not want to see, that all of the Tampa Bay folks want to see. And I'm damned if I'm going to have a great interview with you and everybody's looking in the background to see Rich Gannon throw another friggin' interception for a touchdown. I'm not going to have it on. I swear I'm not going to have it on.
I understand. I wasn't on that team, so I don't.
Oh, no. And, yeah. And again, you know, and if you were on the team, I'm sure it would have been different, because you probably would have knocked Gannon out. And like I said, now I don't know where you would have fit in with, you know, with the Garner and the Richie aspect. So, you know, I know you would have been that big running threat, but it would have been different if you were there, Jarrod, I tell you.
Well, we like to say those type of things. Yeah.
I believe so. I definitely believe so.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, I got the China's in the house. That is Miss Raiderette China, who's coming over to us as a super fan, being in the Dallas area, and also Frank Rizzo was here. Well, gosh darn it, I see. We'll have more people come over, I'm sure, but I do again. I'd like to turn the floor over to you, Jarrod. If you give us at least some bit of a background as to what we need to know about the great Jarrod Bunch, you know, I'll let you start off yourself, sir.
Well, like you probably know, I started off as a #1 pick of the New York Giants. So I spent most of my short career with the Giants, and it was an injury. I started off really good. Actually, I had my first rushing touchdown against the Raiders.
Okay. So, way to rub it in. Way to rub it in. There we go.
But hey, and I only played for the Raiders besides the Giants. But
yes,
a knee injury in my third year back in 1994, 93, which today, that type of injury, the surgeries that take place now, I probably would have still been able to play and not been cut short. But I tore a few ligaments in my knee and was out for about 5 weeks, and then started trying to play, and it just made things worse. And I ended up because I came back and played without getting a big surgery, people thought that it was just a minor injury. But it turned out to be a career-ending injury. I got surgery after the season, and when I tried to come back, it wasn't working out, and with the Giants. And so I didn't pass the physical, and I was released, not being able to pass the physical. And it happened to happen right before the big game when Napoleon Kaufman I believe it was. He had a serious injury on a Monday night against the San Francisco 49ers.
I remember that game, sir. Trust me on that. I was still in San Diego, and it was the Monday night opener, and the injury that Napoleon Kaufman had was so nasty.
Yeah.
And as you know, the knee is supposed to bend like this. And when the knee bends the other way,
opposite,
180 degrees of what it is, that was a horrendous thing to actually watch. And, watching that happen to, and I love Knapp because, again, I'm a Navy guy. And then knowing that he had spent, his career over at the Naval Academy and then came over to the Raiders and was a really, really good running back for us. And watching that happen, man, that was harsh. So you came over to the Raiders as a direct consequence of that knee injury?
It became that way because I didn't pass the Giants physical and was released. The Raiders, and that happened that night, the Raiders called me up and said, listen, we know that you have a problem, but we don't want anybody else to get you. So we'll sign you right now. And for 2 weeks, we know you're just going to be rehabbing. So I ended up signing with them, went through the process of they had 2 games and then a bye week. So it was actually 3 weeks that I worked out and tried to learn the system and everything. But it just, when I started coming back, I just was getting an injury after injury. First day out, I pulled another muscle in my hip. Guess I was overcompensating for the knee, and it became just like the walking wounded trying to get out there and play, and it just wasn't working. And they could see it, I could see it, and I started taking so many painkillers and everything, trying to get on the field. And at the time, I thought to myself, I was 26, and I said, this is only my 4th year in the season, and I'm taking all this stuff and getting shots and all that stuff, and it's only my 4th year in. What the heck am I going to do, if I'm going to play this for 10 more years? So I went cold turkey, and I stopped taking all painkillers and getting shots and everything. And when I did that, it was I couldn't compete. I couldn't even, I couldn't run. I couldn't do anything. And
I was going to say, I'm sure you probably had seen the great Giamotto in and out of the facilities with the Raiders, and knowing how much pain and suffering that he had with his knees. And I know that that's not a positive, and great love Giamotto, but knowing that might be something that you would be left with in the near future, that is something that definitely makes you think.
That was it. I was 26, I believe, 26 or 27. And I just thought to myself, man, how much longer? I'm not going to be able to do this too much longer. So, I just made a decision to say, look, let's see how I can do this without any extra help. And without that extra help, it was non-existent. I could not do anything. And my mind was telling me to go this way. And by the time I was take a step to go that way, play was done.
It's kind of like Friday Night Lights with Darren Luke, or what's his name? I know the actor's name is Luke, and he plays the running back, and he tries to run off that ACL, and it just ain't happening.
Booby. Yeah, Booby.
Booby Miles. Booby Miles, man. You want to win, give it to Booby. There you go. You want to win, give it to Jarrod. Jarrod will bunch them all up. There you go.
Yeah. But it was one play that really showed everything with the Raiders. At the time, they had the only fullback beside that they were having then was Tom Rathman, and he was a good player, played for a long time. But at that time, I was before the injury, I was considered either 1 or 2 top fullback in the league. The year coming off that year, the year before, I was second Number two, in the league in yards per carry. Not for fullbacks, for all backs.
Wow.
And that was from the fullback position, not from running back. It was from fullback. And so I was coming on into that third year looking and feeling good. And then the injury happened, then going to the Raiders and not being able to do the things that I used to could do. I was in a lot of denial. And that taking all of that, getting all those painkillers and all that changed my way of thinking. And I was in on a few plays and my head said to go here. And before you know it, I was making, problems for the team. And that's when it really became evident that I wasn't going to be able to do it anymore. I remember our fourth and one, and I missed my block, and that was it.
I wanted to let the folks know that are here, and we got a couple of my cohorts in crime that always watch, Frank Rizzo, Mike Serra. We are going to do an interview with Mr. Bunch, but then we're going to open up the phone line. So all these questions that you have, keep them into the comments, but I'm going to allow you to call in and talk to Jarrod Bunch about that as well. We got some really good questions right now. But while we got a break here and we're talking break, I'm going to bring you back. Jarrod. I'm going to go back into your childhood here. And two things. I see that now. I don't want to screw up the name of your hometown in Ohio. Is it Ashtabula or Ashtabula?
Ashtabula.
Okay, so I was closer with the second one. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So you're from Ashtabula, and it said, and some of the things that you read in Wiki, sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong. And I read that you had an injury with a lawnmower when you were a kid, and that reminded me of when the great Phillies pitcher Kurt Simmons had a similar injury when he was pitching for the Phillies, and he was never quite the same after that. Obviously, that didn't stop you from being the first person from your high school to get a Division I scholarship.
Yeah, no, it was never a problem. What happens when I was about 5 years old? It was in June, and I turned 6 in August. I was decided to take our riding lawnmower out as a go-kart. And me and another words. Yeah, me and a neighborhood buddy of mine decided to go drive the lawnmower and got into a fight over who was going to drive. So I got in front of while he started driving. I got in front of the riding lawnmower and tried to stop him. and
you did with your foot.
And it ran over my foot.
Right.
But the good thing is, good thing, but the fortunate thing is it got the toe next to the pinky toe. Of all the toes it could have got, that's where it didn't chop off of all of the toes. It chopped off one toe. So it hit like this instead of like this. It hit like straight through. So my foot went this way, and it hit boom like through that. So that was fortunate that it got that toe.
Because if you lose your pinky toe, then that's a balancing toe, and that could have really affected you.
So it has happened. That has happened over the years. It has happened. I've had problems with my feet. My father had bad feet. So I've had problems with my feet since then. And as the years go by in the pros, it just kept getting bad. I ended up having two surgeries. I had one surgery in 1993 on my foot. And then I had another one in 1994. But they all were coming from, the years of playing on the turf and in the grass and having to overcompensate for that missing toe.
Now, I got to ask the question, and I'm sure that everybody in Ohio asks you this. So you know what's coming. You're in Ohio.
Yeah, I know.
And you go to Okay, it's kind of like Seawood did the same thing. Seawood's from Ohio. and he goes to UM.
So
How did you get out of getting away from Ohio State and go to UM, sir?
Well, so coming from that small school where there was no one being recruited except me, coming from a conference that pretty much not too many people were recruited every once in a while or something. But so we were the bottom team in the school. I mean, in the league. We won 2 games my senior year. My junior year, we won maybe 4. When I was in 8th grade, my brother was in 10th grade. They won their first game in 5 years. They were 0-50. So the program was not a good program. So we didn't have anybody come in and look at us. So when I started training, the way I got noticed is I used to run track. I did pole vault, I did the 100, I do the 20, and then I do the shot put and I do the disc. And I would win it all. I would win at the shot. I would win at the disc. I would win at the pole vault. And then I would win at the 100. So they were like, who the heck is this guy? Where did he come from? And so that's when they started saying, he goes to Ashtabula High School. And then I started going to weightlifting competitions. And when I was 16 years old, I set a state and national and an unofficial world record for deadlift.
Wow.
At 16 years old, 198 pounds, I deadlifted 600 pounds. And that was the record. So everyone that would come to those competitions was always like, who in the heck is this guy? Where does he go to school? And so that is what they started coming. That's why they started watching me and playing football. And then they started, when a college would go to their school and say, like they always do, is there anybody in this area that you think we should be looking at? And those other schools would say, there's this kid in Ashtabula who runs track, weightlifts, and he's a great player. He plays every position on defense and offense. That's how I started getting noticed. And then Ohio State was like, he's not an All-American. He's not All-State.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. I have never rushed for 1,000 yards. So in high school, rushing for 1,000 yards is like, kids rush for 2,000.
Right.
So for me not rushing for 1,000, they were like, he should be happy that we are even looking at him. So that's the attitude that they had. He's from Ohio. He's not even all Ohio. We're looking at him, so okay. And Michigan, New York, North Carolina State, Kentucky, West Virginia, USC, UCLA, Penn State, all these people, they were giving me all kinds of, and then Ohio State's like, oh, we know where you're going. And so I didn't even take it.
They assumed that don't worry about the other schools because you were going to play for and by the way, I can't stand when they say that, the Ohio State University. Well, you know what? The Ohio State University can kiss my Ashtabula.
That's right. And at Michigan, we won the Big Ten Championship 4 out of the 5 years I was there. Beat Ohio State 4 out of the 5 times that we played against them. And I'm cool.
Oh no! I ain't, Jarrod. I ain't hating on you, sir. I'm not hating on you.
I know you.
I'm in the wiki. When you see things like this, I gotta ask. I gotta ask. Yeah,
it's a question that everyone asks because it's a great question.
Okay, so obviously at UM, you played with a few quarterbacks in your career there.
Yeah.
And I know one of them is currently your coach now at UM. What are your thoughts on playing with Jim Harbaugh and how he should? And I gotta ask this delicately because you are an alum and I don't want to piss people off. But as an alum, your thoughts on Jim Harbaugh coming back and not being able to beat Ohio State?
Okay, here's the thing. Michigan Ohio State is a huge game, biggest rivalry, whatever, right? But Michigan players and Ohio State players, the players like each other. We respect each other. The players that don't like each other, a bigger rivalry that don't like each other is Michigan State. We don't.
Right.
We didn't like them. They didn't like us. Ohio State's got some great players, man. I mean, it's just bottom line. They got great players. They have more talent right now than Michigan has. Michigan we've always, our goal was always to win the Big Ten championship and to beat Ohio State. But the key was to win the Big Ten championship.
Right.
So when you put in that Ohio State's been getting the number 2, number 1, number 3 top recruiting class every year, and Michigan has been getting top 10, maybe top 6, maybe 11, maybe in the top 20. The bottom line is Ohio State's got some great talent, and they got some good coaches. They've had some great coaches. Michigan has had good coaching, but you have to have talent.
Right.
And, you can't just have, star here. When you go against a school like Ohio State that has, top of the line. I think they had 11 guys get drafted in the first 2 rounds last year.
Yeah. So, well, we got one in Damon Arnett, so we're very happy. We are very happy that we picked him up, and he was actually the number 2 corner on that team by the kid that got drafted by the Lions, and he's just as good. And he played all last year with a broken wrist, and he already has a broken finger for the Raiders. I said, well, hell, if he can play with a broken wrist and be the number 2 corner, I think he can handle a broken finger. I know that sounds harsh, but I mean, I say that with accolades on his part. And I didn't mean to, kind of pry about the issue with UM. I mean, obviously, and I've seen Jim Harbaugh here. I got a chance to take a picture with him here in Tampa. He was at a Lightning game when the Lightnings were playing the Flyers. And so I was actually there. And I didn't realize how big he was. So he's a big dude. So, and I always think of him as being like a small quarterback type. And he's about, 6'5" or so. So he's definitely –
but he's tall. He's 6'3", a little over 6'3", maybe. He's a big. He's not a little man.
Right. Well, I've shrunk, which is why I probably thought he was 6'5". So maybe that's on me, because I used to be 6 foot. Now I'm not even 6 foot. So I've been shrinking. I've been getting it bigger here, but smaller here. So there you go.
Well, that's all of us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But what was it like playing for Bo Schembechler, for Jim Harbaugh? There's another quarterback, actually 2 quarterbacks have played at UM. Did you get a chance to play on their teams as well?
I played. So my first year was with Harbaugh, and my 5th year, the quarterback was Elvis Grbac.
Okay. Yep.
Elvis was like a junior or a sophomore. His third, I think it was his 3rd year. So 3rd or 4th year. And but those 2, but in between those, we had some quarterbacks that were, they forgettable. They were not. Back then we ran the ball all the time.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't nothing that to have a drive, and in a drive to run the ball 20 times in a drive, not in the game, not in a half, but in one drive to run the ball 20 times. So we had some quarterbacks and we had quarterbacks that were running quarterbacks, that were option quarterbacks. In between, there was Michael Taylor, he was option quarterback, and then Demetrius Brown, who was a left-handed quarterback. He threw a lot, but the offense was not for throwing quarterbacks.
Well, the offense suited you because it obviously was a great springboard for you to be the number 1 pick of the Giants. So it definitely works for you.
Yeah, it was. We were, Michigan was known for running backs. I mean, you wanted a running back, you were looking at Michigan, and I think that was the last year. Pretty much, it was not the last year, but it was the end of pure fullbacks in college being drafted in the NFL. I think I was. I know. I'm for sure. I was the last pure fullback drafted in the first round in the NFL. Now, there were other fullbacks that played fullback and tailback in college.
Right.
And they may have been drafted in the first round. But I never lined up one time at tailback in college. Now, when I got to the pros, I played a lot of running back and fullback. I played both of them.
Now, would be in the single set? Did you play with Joe Morris, or am I getting the eras wrong?
No, Joe left. The year that I was drafted by the Giants was the year they beat Buffalo in Tampa, and that was Joe Morris's last year in the league. But the year before I got there, they had drafted Rodney Hampton in the first round. So that running back from Georgia, he became the leading rusher. Yeah, and he and I had a great. If I hadn't gotten hurt, I mean, we were on our way. My first full year, my second year, the year that I got Offensive Player of the Year, and we led the NFL in rushing. The Giants did.
Oh, I will say this: I got my former boss from Buffalo Wild Wings, who is a UM guy, and he says go Blues. So Stuart Stadler, I expect you to call in later on to talk to Jarrod Bunch. I expect it because he did see this, so he knows. Jarrod Bunch is on. I got to call in, so I fully expect that as well. So we're going to get to that. And again, going back to Love You Blue in the NFL from Go Blue, Mason Blue. What was the transition like in New York? Because you came in right at the turnover of the Parcells era to Ray Handley, and that really didn't bode well for the Giants until they turned over. And I'm not going to rush it, but the turnover from Handley to Dan Reeves, and then it started to ascend again. So what was it like to rebuild that Giants franchise?
The rebuilding process was pretty quick because when Ray Handley came in that first year, he changed a lot, changed the offense, and the defense went back to, allowing players to make plays instead of this. They had come in and switched it up after winning the Super Bowl, and Parcells leaving right before camp started. It was switch. So when Parcells came in, when Dan Reeves came in, we all were buying into what he was doing. Partially because he started off with training camp was not as hard as it, everyone hates training camp. But back then there used to be 2 days of both practices, padded practices all the time. And now you can't even think of that. It's not even like, it's like unthought of. But Dan Reeves came in and we never had 2 days where we had practice and pads back to back. So
now, I would say now maybe I'm mistaken, but wasn't Ray Handley a former Marine?
He was. I don't know. He was in the military. He was in the military, and he was a mathematical, wizard. You can say all kinds of numbers, and he'd give you the answer right off his head. He knew statistics like that, and I think that was part of the problem. Is that he used everything statistically? Okay, even one of our game plans was, instead of when we get the kickoff, statistically speaking, if we get the ball inside the 20, statistically speaking, we would not drive 80 plus yards and score. So his idea was to drive a certain amount and punt, so that when they got the ball, that when we received the punt back from them, it would not be an 80-yard drive. It would be, and he used statistics on all of those things. So even when the offense got the ball, or when the other team's offense got the ball, he would use that statistic, or that, based on where they got the ball, he already had in mind what he was going to plan to do offensively when we got the ball back.
What was it like playing, or maybe I should say, who were your favorites or memorable games or teammates that you played with on the Giants, as well as the teams that the games that you remembered as a Giant, being in the NFC East? Obviously some fantastic games there. So I'm going to let you wax poetic on being a Giant.
We loved the Redskins. I don't know why. It was always a battle, but it was always one of those battles that we liked. And we would always come out on top, or most of the time, a lot of times we'd come out on top, except for one time when they went to the Super Bowl. But besides that, we used to have a good time playing. Playing against Dallas was like, oh my gosh, they were so talented. It was like, man. There was only one time that I played in a game where we we shouldn't have, and it was on Thanksgiving. They just really just laid it on us, and it was embarrassing. We lost by maybe 30 points or something. The other team that we just did not like to play against because they were just so tough, the defense was so tough, was Philadelphia. They had Reggie White. They had their front seven was, Clyde Simmons, Jerome Brown. I forgot the inside linebackers and the other defensive end. It was like a bad night every time we played against them. And every time a question comes up, who is the strongest player you played against? I tell them without a doubt, Reggie White was the strongest and best player that I played against.
Without any word. Yeah.
He was a grown man that he hit me one time with one hand. Oh. And I'm a big guy. And he took one hand and just like I was a baby, hit me in the chest.
Well, I remember watching it, and I think the first time that I was speaking to you on Facebook, I saw the shot of you bowling over Ronnie Lott, and I showed that as well, and you said, well, that didn't happen a lot, no pun intended. That didn't happen a lot to Ronnie, but that was a hell of a pick that you had on your profile as well, because you're definitely, well, obviously you've used your athleticism and girth in your after career, but we'll get to that in a minute as well. I want to make sure that folks know I've gotten rid of as many hopefully you guys don't have the spinning circle of death now, so it's a little bit clearer for everybody. I got rid of some of the I had a couple too many windows up, so I'm just gonna have to go with what I was trying to think of, and hopefully you didn't have too many questions for you. You obviously enjoyed being a Giant. So it was. And you said that it was because of the injury that you came over to the Raiders. I got to ask, playing for the Raiders, obviously a different mindset, but tell me about your memories of playing with in Los Angeles as well, because that's totally different too.
It started off very interesting because when I came to LA, and they told me, come and plan on staying for the rest of the season. So I come, but they're talking to me. They're not talking to my agent. So when I go, they said, we want you to come down to the field, and they said, listen, Napoleon got hurt, and we're looking for you. We're just not looking for another. Player that can fill in. We want you because you are what type of player we want. And when I get there, they set up a sprint test for me. to run a conditioning test. And I have still been doing my rehab and everything else. And I'm like, wait a minute, man. And they're like, okay, we just want you to, come down here and run this 40. And then in 20 seconds, we want you to run another 40. And once you do that 10 times. And I'm like, that's a sprint test. What? What are you doing? It's like, oh, yeah, don't worry about it. Just do it. And so I said, all right, okay. And I go and I go to run it, and I'm not ready. I pull a muscle in my hip or something. And they're like, just keep trying. So I'm like, this is not what you guys, and I should have known because they was talking to me and not my agent. Should have known. But they first contacted my agent for me to come there. And then I said, okay, all right. I did that. We stopped that we were ready to go, sign a contract, whatever. They started giving me all kinds of stuff. And it wasn't just the coaches. It wasn't the coaches. It was Al Davis.
Uh-huh. That's the great segue, because I was going to ask you, everybody has an Al Davis story. And Al Davis was the one that was doing all of these tests for you?
Yes. Yeah. He was out there with the watch and everything else. And I'm like, and he's telling me, I'm like, what is going on here? And the coaches did so after I do it, I pull its muscle doing it. But I keep on doing it. And then I'm like, you know what? This is not what you guys told me. You just told me y'all wanted me to come out here and sign and blah, blah, blah. And I guess the reason why they're doing that, because they wanted me to play, like, this was what I'm saying, Tuesday or Wednesday. They wanted me playing on Sunday.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, no, man, I can't, It's like, no. So I left and went back to the hotel and had my agent say, look, just go get my plane ticket ready. I'm leaving right now. They were calling and everything, man. And they had someone come and follow me up to they said, don't leave. It was like, don't leave. So the whole thing was for me not to leave. And they said, okay, well, look, he negotiated a contract with me. I'm like, no. No. He said, I'll pay you this amount, this, and then next year I'll pay you this amount. I'm like, no, that's not my job. I don't. And finally, I called my agent and said, he's trying to negotiate with me. And he said, I'll take care of it. And then they ended up saying, listen, we want to sign you. This is what we're going to plan to do is keep you here and just rehab you for, 3 weeks, and then get you ready to go for that after the bye week. And after, and it was going, but that injury of running that 40 test by hurting my hip, pulling a muscle, it made things worse.
Yeah. And Al's the one that made you do that, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, folks, you heard it here. And obviously that's no disrespect to the great patriarch, but you can see, if you've ever not thought that Al Davis wasn't intrinsically involved with his football team, that is a story right there.
Hey, listen, I was at every practice. And the next day, after I signed, I came in and they said, listen, make sure you're on your P's and Q's all the time, because Al has everything taped, and every night he watches all of the video. So just because you signed that does not mean that you are safe. It's every player except for a couple players are evaluated every single day.
Right. We used to call them, for the fans that know better, we used to call them Al's scholarship players. The guys that were on scholarship, and you don't know why they're still on the team, but they were obviously on an Al scholarship and they stayed on the team. And I say, why is this guy still on the team? And it was because we considered them a scholarship player. So again, you're saying you're bringing light to things that we've always wanted to know, and have finally have some backing on that. Now I got to ask.
The other ones too, though, not just the scout. It was guys like who were the stars. That's it. They're not going. They are the Tim Brown and Hostetler and guys, Grogan and guys that the star. They're all pros. They're not going anywhere. It's
right.
like when you get to the pros. I remember my first week getting in, and they tell you this is not college. Some players, the coaches in watching the meeting, and the coach says, you better not fall asleep. You close your eyes for a second. The coach said, "Here, bring me your playbook." Now, if it's LT watching the film, and he'll say, "Hey, y'all keep it down." LT's trying to sleep. It depends on what you bring to the table. That's it.
Right. And I'm glad you broached that, because I was going to ask you about playing with LT as well. Nothing that would get you in trouble, but obviously a lot of stories about being a Giant. And I'm going to predicate this as well. I do a show with a gentleman by the name of Coach Muddle, who is a stalwart Giants fan, and he definitely wants me to get in touch with you. He wants to have you on as well to talk Giants football. So you don't even have to worry about the Raiders thing. You don't have to worry about Michigan. You don't have to worry about Ashtabula. You don't even worry about acting. He's just going to pepper you about Giant stuff and have a good time with you. Great guy, by the way. So hopefully that'll come to fruition as well. So I'm greasing the skids for you. He doesn't know I'm doing this, but I'm greasing the skids for you on that. Now, as far as being like I said, you mentioned Jeff Hostetler. Obviously, you had a rapport with him coming over from New York.
Haas was one of the reasons why the Raiders did what they did. We played together for 2 years, I think, 2 or 3 years, and Haas told me, when they were thinking about bringing me in before the injury happened. They came to him and talked to him about me, exactly when the injury happened. It's like, listen, you better get him right now, because somebody's going to take him. If the Giants release him, somebody's going to take him. So you better get him right now.
Well, and there's nothing better because I work, shall we say, analysis. That's a better way of saying it. I work analysis for the government. If you have an in. If with somebody and some good gouge, that's always best. And of course that happens in the profession. And Jarrod, it was, I remember watching you as a Raider, and I remember the unique thing is that I'm a movie guy. So I always like to, when I watch movies, I like to watch the credits and see how many names I know on the credits. And I have like a game, and I like say, well, how many name actors, really good actors, do I know from the credits? And I did watch your name a couple different times. And again, this is following your football career. So before we go to my question is, what inspired you, or how did you go from being a Raider to, obviously you're in the Mecca of the movie capital. What was your next step as far as doing that transition over?
That was it. Because in the Mecca, LA, Los Angeles, Hollywood, you have the opportunity to be seen, and you have guys who are in the industry who like sports, and this entertainment industry is about relationships. It's a lot about relationships. You have the relationship, and they have the opportunity. You can learn on that. Now, what you do with the opportunity is up to you. Some players, if you look and see all players who have gone from sports to entertainment, 90% of them are from my California team, and that's not by accident. Now, right. That's just it. It's where the relationships are built. That's it. And I at the time when I was playing, it just so happened that the girlfriend who I had at that time lived in Beverly Hills, while I was playing in for the New York Giants. So when I came to the Raiders, it was, very simple, simple transition.
Okay.
And that girlfriend had friends who she was buddies with, Holly Robinson, who was at that time engaged to Rodney Peete, and Rodney Peete and I, who had played against each other in college. And then they were always buddies with, Lena Rashawn, who was dating at the time a guy from USC. So it was all football and entertainment all the time.
Right. And was Rodney's playing? That was Haas's backup, wasn't it? Or was Rodney on the Lions at the time?
No, Rodney was on the Lions at the time.
Okay.
I think he was on the Lions, and he was just about to go to North Carolina, I think.
Okay.
Or I mean, no, not yet, because North Carolina, no, not yet. He was with Detroit.
Okay, because again, he bounced around a lot. He was kind of like Vince Evans, a very good quarterback, plug and play. Anytime you needed him to come in and fulfill your offense, and you had an injury, he was the guy to be. And I remember that when Hostetler went down, I remember, and this is after you had left. I'm going to go over, something that crushed me in like 95, 96. The Raiders are 8-2, and they play the Cowboys, and they lose. They go from being 8-2. I think that was when Haas got injured, and then they went from 8-2 to 8-8, and they went from the tops of the AFC to not even being in the playoffs. And that was the how they kind of bottomed out, in the 90s. But you missed that. You were already starting your film career. And I did see your credits with Don King, Only in America. And I remember you bulked up being George. I remember that. I remember you playing George Foreman.
Yeah, it looked like bulked up, but I actually lost about 20 pounds.
Oh my God. You lost 20 pounds?
Yeah. I mean, it's all visual, man. You know what it looks like, I mean, it's like bodybuilders, when you see them on competition night, they have lost 30, 40 pounds. They cut it all up. And that's all I did. I was on a strict diet, cutting what I was eating and making sure I knew when to eat, what time to eat, how to eat. And then I was doing cardio. And so
man, I wish I had that body for like maybe one night. Go out, Captain Jack, looking like this, like doing the how you doing? Because then I would have to worry about being a personality driven guy, getting the ladies. All I had to do was just show up with that body physique that I saw with you. And again, and I didn't realize the other things you've been in. What was it? The gambling movie with not De Niro, Pacino and Kevin. Okay. There you go. 2 for the money. I was going like the guy from Texas, and you knew who I was talking about, McConaughey.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
And so you've been around with a fantastic load of wonderful actors and actresses in the industry. So what are your favorite memories playing the roles that you have, and what are some of the best things that you can bring about? Some of the things that we don't get a chance to hear about. We see the movie, we enjoy the movie, but some of that wonderful backlot things that you can entertain the audience with as well.
Well, I've done a lot of TV stuff, and I work with a lot of actors that are A-list actors. And the last movie that I did was Django Unchained. And,
yeah, we were going to get to that. I was waiting on that one, so go ahead.
But that actually also was the movie that made me decide to go back into coaching football, because acting and entertainment is really it's an interesting industry, because Captain Jack, you can start tomorrow and you can start going in for roles that I would be going in for at the same time. And I had been in the industry for, almost 20 years. So that's what got me, and coming from, when I had made it to the top level of professional football, it was not sitting right with me that I was not getting to the next level in entertainment. And it's all because, again, those relationships, but it also goes for opportunities. And I wasn't getting the opportunities. And so I decided, but when I did Django, and I worked with, I was there for shot in Louisiana for over 2 months. And DiCaprio would have myself and the other guys over to his house every weekend. We watch UFC fights. We do all kinds of stuff. We would go out with Jamie all the time. We actually hung out. We did things. Samuel L. Jackson rented theaters for the whole cast, and we would go watch. At that time, it was I forgot which one of those superhero movies that he was doing. But we did
the Marvels with where he was the guy. See, he was using my iPad. Nick Fury. I do Nick Fury better than Nick Fury. You tell Sam that.
Yeah.
And I can motherfuck Sam to death too. So, but for sure, so you tell him that as well. Say, hey, if you want to go into a motherfuck contest, excuse my French, Captain Jack will do that with you, and I'll wear the iPads too. You get a hold of Sam, and we'll do that.
Yeah, well, I worked with, we hung out and did everything with them, but it wasn't working out for me. That was making me happy, and it was because of the I don't know why. It didn't make sense to me, and that's what made it so frustrating. Everyone who at that time that was seeing me, that they thought that I was, thought I was just doing all kinds of movies, all right, but I wasn't. I'd get a role here for, to shoot for a week on this or a month on this or whatever, but anytime to get some regular, and living that way is rough. It's rough. Sometimes you might go, a month without an audition. And then when you do get one audition, it's one audition and, you don't get it. So it's like, well, I do very well in commercials.
Okay.
And that's, so when you say about memorable, I play, my most memorable commercial, a couple of them, two of them that I've done about 100, but the two most memorable, one with Parcells, with Tostitos. It ran for a long time, and we are all singing. We're all singing. And the other one was for Snickers, and it was right after Tyson had bit Evander Holyfield's ear. Yeah. I play a boxer who's afraid to go out and leave the locker room to go fight, and when I'm sitting there like this, like, no, I'm not going. Then when I say why, it's because my ears are like this big.
I remember that commercial. Yeah. Oh man, and shame on me for not remembering it too. But I remember the years because that was a great commercial.
Yeah. That's probably my favorite one, most memorable one. But so I've had a lot of stuff. I still would like to do it, but I just, I have. I'm 52 years old, and you can't, doing this, not knowing, not being able to be steady, have a steady income. And like, but when the money comes, it comes.
Right.
But then you just taking it, spin it, hope for something else to come.
Right. Well, but you can go out to eat on your residuals every now and again and go have a nice steak dinner with the wife, right?
Of course, but when you stop, like the commercial industry now has been hit is down 69%, man. The union commercials. Union. Now, non-union commercials are booming. Union commercials are down over 60%.
Okay, so what's it been? You got your SAG card, obviously. So what's the difference between a SAG commercial and a non-SAG commercial?
So a union, that's what I'm speaking of. Union commercials have standards and minimums and all that. A non-union commercial or non-SAG commercial can use any person off the street. If you tell a person off the street, listen, I'm going to give you $5,000 to do this right here, they were like, yeah, okay. Where they're paying them $5,000, I might have, if I would done it, might have gotten $35,000 over it, $20,000. Over the and then each 3 months it will come back up. They have to pay it again. They got to pay it again. Instead of a person, they say, I'll take that $5,000 right now. Or even if they say, look, $10,000. Here's $10,000. Forever they have it. Yeah, I see your head working right now, Don.
No, it's like because we got the young lady that works with me when we do the show that you saw, the original 2-spot. She's in the industry as well, as far as that she did production and special effects and photography and all the things like that. So she tells me about the different things about go support your films because I told her, I said, and I'm gonna mention a dirty word here. I'm gonna mention him, Tom Cruise. I said I won't see a Tom Cruise movie because I don't want to give him any of my money. And she goes, no. It's not giving Tom Cruise the money. It's giving the key grips and the lighting guys and the electronics guys and all of the gaffers and all the things like that. It's giving them money. So I said, you know what, Angela, you have, and I mean this, you have really inspired me to a point that I will never theater hop anymore. I won't theater hop anymore. I used to do it because who's gonna think that an old man's theater hopping? Not too many people, So it's an easy get. But because of having somebody in the industry who I respect, I won't ever do that again because I don't want to get her or her cronies out of the money that they should be getting for their hard work as well. And so I say to you, I wouldn't do that as well. So I understand the difference between union and non-union, and we need to get we need to get some big ears on you again there, Jarrod, because we can get you we can get you like the 20-year anniversary of something or maybe like that. We gotta or maybe we get you with like a cone head. We get Dan Aykroyd with the cone head and you with the ears, and we can like play on big body parts or something like that. We'll try to work on it.
Bring something back. Hey, Tyson's going to do an exhibition fight, so
yeah,
it will be good. It will be good to have it. But it is on YouTube. If it's on the commercial is on YouTube.
Okay, well, I'll look for it, and because I remember that I remember it like it was yesterday. And as soon as you said with the ears, I said, yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about. That was hilarious. And what I want to do is, because I've grilled you enough, and I appreciate you doing this. I'm going to, if you don't mind there, Jarrod, I'm going to open up the lines because this is where hopefully all you people that were asking, now is your time. Okay, now is your time to come on in and ask Jarrod Bunch. You have. And Stu, like I said, Stu was out at Michigan. Hopefully he's still here. But if you're here on the lines, please call in and ask Jarrod Bunch something that I didn't get a chance to ask him because he was gracious enough to be in here with us. And Ed Winchell says I'm cheap, probably because I was theater hopping. I just didn't want to give Tom Cruise my money. That wasn't because I was cheap. It was a matter of semantics. But
the thing is, Tom got paid already. It's the rest of them.
Right. And that's what she told me. She said he got his money up front. It's everybody else that's waiting for the cuts. So that's why I won't do it. That's why I won't do it anymore. And I do got a question from Black Widow, who Great lady. She looks like me, except that she's more beautiful, but she dresses like a pirate. So if you see a good-looking version of me without the beard and the pirate costume, that's Black Widow. Great lady that she is. And I think we answered that already, Black Widow. She goes, what was your favorite Al Davis memory? And that's probably him standing with the stopwatch doing your physical coming in, correct?
Yeah, and at every practice, man, at every practice, he was on the sideline, either pumping somebody up or coaching them up or whatever. But he was at every practice on the sideline.
Okay, so there you go. So the man was definitely in there, and don't be shy, folks. Like I said, I asked Jarrod all of these things, and he's been really awesome in answering it. The phone line is open. 813-699-0834. You said that you've gone back. Obviously, now you're into coaching. So is that what you're doing now?
Well, I say I'm retired, semi-retired from acting, but I try to I have a production company. I'm trying to do some things. I was the head coach at Beverly Hills High School. COVID hit, and I decided I was going to resign. The program it needed help. I mean, my first year there was 2 years ago, and I came in, and they hadn't won a game in 2 years. And then in the 5 years prior to those 2 years, they won one game a year. So when I came in the summer, trying to start the program back up, we had 9 kids. 9.
Wow. And now that's like Texas football. Did you have to like get some people out of the stands each game to field 11 or?
No, I'm talking about for the summer conditioning program,
Oh,
just
okay.
Yeah,
right.
For the summer we had 9, not 90, 9.
Right.
One,
no, that's why I was saying, 9. So you needed 2 more to make a line.
Yes. So, and then I said, where are the kids? We got to get some training in here. And they were all like, oh, coach, they're not coming because they know that they'll make the team and they don't have to be here until the mandatory day, when camp starts. So they waited until then. And then that first day that camp started, I had 30. 30 showed up the first day. 25 showed up the second day. 19 showed up the third day. So we went into the first week, the first month before the game. We went in. I had myself. I had Mike Sherrard, who was my old teammate on the Giants. He was the coach, and then we got another guy. The guy who just volunteered. And so we went into the season. Right, the week before the first game, we had 19 kids, and then we ended up having 22 for the entire roster before the first game. And we got the first game, and we won 32 to nothing.
Wow.
Yeah. And we ended up winning the first year. We won 2 games. We only had 20. We fielded 22 kids, and then the second year we had 25 kids, but really not 25, but it's 25 on the roster, and we won 3 games. We beat a team. We beat a team that was a pretty good team too, and a team that had like 50 kids on the roster.
Well, I want to give you some props from the comment line from one of my buddies that is a avid viewer, Ed Winchell. He says, and I quote, "I heard you were so fantastic in Django Unchained, Jarrod, and I heard that from Jamie himself." So Ed Winchell has ties to LA. So Jamie was propping on you to all the other people as well. So there you go. I wanted to pass that along.
We had a great time, man. Jamie, we used to hang out all the time. He was great. Look, we had so many A-list stars on that lot that they could have been, jerks, but not a single jerk. Every one of them was great. And I've worked with Samuel Jackson before, like 10 years prior to that, and it was not a good situation. But this time, it wasn't a good situation. But this time,
may I ask what the project was?
It was Shaft.
Oh, okay.
It was Shaft.
Okay.
And actually, my character, that scene, the whole scene got cut out because my character was a cop, and I beat up Shaft. And
that's why he cut you out. That was pure you. That was pure you.
Didn't like,
yeah.
That's it. He didn't like the way that I was. My character was what he was doing to Shaft. he didn't like it. But we had to be physical. We had to be physical, and he didn't like it. So I thought that the first day of shooting on Django, I didn't know if he was going to remember or not. But it was like, 10 years. It was more than 10 years in between. So,
right.
He didn't. I doubt if he remembered. But it was when we first time met. It was like nothing had happened, and he was great.
Okay, well, see, and that's cool because even if he did remember, he was now beyond that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and somebody said that working with Tarantino is incredible. Give us some insight because he's quirky, from what I understand.
He is, but I'm gonna tell you the best experience of working with a director. He's a very smart man too, very intelligent. He knows exactly how to do things the way he wants to see it done, and he comes through. Now he is quirky, but it's his quirkiness. It's the way he likes to do it, and it's not it's a way that helps everyone.
Okay, and I'm very happy that I'm not going to be the only one peppering you with questions there, Jarrod. We're listening to Asylum. Asylum, are you on, brother?
Yes, I am. Hi, Jarrod. Hi, Captain. How are you guys tonight?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm actually stealing part of my question from Ed Winchell, but I was kind of curious on when you were on Django Unchained. How was it working with Quentin Tarantino, Leonardo DiCaprio, all those big names? What was it like to work with all them?
Yeah, I was just saying that it was great. I mean, there could have been a lot of egos, but there was zero egos in there, and each person, we had a great time with every single person the entire time. And I was actually there for 2 months in Louisiana shooting with them, and we had not a single hiccup.
Go ahead, Captain.
No, I was going to say one quick one. Now, when you were in Louisiana, I'm in Florida, so I know how muggy it can get. Did you guys hit the Asylum's in an asylum in Kansas for your edification there, Jarrod. That's a joke, but muggy Louisiana in a swampland. I know how bad it can be. Tell me about shooting when it's like sweltering hot in doing that.
That's what I'm saying. It was so, but it was right before I went from April to June, right before it really hit.
You were lucky then. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But it was starting to get there. But it was everybody on the set, they put on about 10, 15 pounds.
Put on 10, 15 pounds? You must have. Well, I guess so. So really, I tell you what, the caterers, that was probably some good catering then.
Yeah, because not because of the catering, because of the food afterwards. Everything that when you're there, if you didn't watch Quentin put on 20. He put on 20. I mean, because when you're in Louisiana, it's like everything with fat on top of it.
Oh yeah. Well, and I'm the one with the zipper chest already, Jarrod. So if we go to Louisiana, Nolens, as I like to say, if I'm with you, just make sure that there's a cardiologist on call, because I know what I want to eat and what you'd probably show me the goods. By the way, I do know a guy who is the I can't remember what his position is, but he's like the top dude next to the chef that gets people in there on their tables. So when you're in Nolens, I'll treat you to a great Raider fan that's there, and we'll hang out, and we'll get some good food with you there as well.
Good. I put on some weight when I was there, though.
Yeah, and I'm still just totally perplexed about you saying that you got cut playing Foreman, and I mean, did you hear that there as well, Asylum? Now he lost weight playing Foreman in the Don King movie.
No, I missed that.
Yeah, and you remember his role in that, right? Playing George Foreman, and how, yeah. Oh, go back and watch that one, because that's another great role.
I'm gonna have to.
Yeah. Anything else there, Ken?
No, that was really it. I just wanted to get the phone started for you.
And I appreciate that, man. Hopefully we'll get some more people rolling in on that as well. And again, Jarrod, thank you for answering Asylum's questions. One of the great guys here on my chat line, and definitely a unique personality. He has his character has like what is it, like a cage where he's busting out of his page. Go ahead, Ken.
Just the cage and a straight jacket.
Straight jacket.
Is actually based off the cage from the Jackal on 13 Go.
Okay.
Yeah, it's visual. Great people in Raider Nation, as you know, Jarrod. So we got to get you back in there. I mean, and by the way, how attuned are you to, obviously, the Raiders are the most popular football team professional in LA, and that will always be.
They are, and they love. The Raider Nation is outstanding. People ask me all the time what my feeling is about the Raiders going to Las Vegas, and I said, what other team would be able to make that move but the Raiders?
There you go.
I think it's a great move for the black and silver, man. I love it. I think that we will have a great time. And the Raiders are doing such a great thing with the alumni from that. Even though I was just there for that one season, or partial of that one season, they still keep me in the loop. I still do things for Raider Nation, not at the Olympic, not Olympic. At the Disney, down at Disney, they have the Raider Nation experience. I go there one. And every player, if you ever play for the Raiders, you will be getting a brick on making up that of the new stadium. It will have your name and number.
Yeah, so I've seen all of the ones that we seen. Like I was talking to you about Jerry Robinson. Jerry Robinson, great friend of the program, showed us his brick, and all the players. Like I said, once a Raider, always a Raider, with the probable only possible exceptions of Sapp and Moss, and some guys. Sapp and Moss, and some guy who, and a two-letter guy who never played for us, but everybody kind of associates still with us. And don't worry, Jarrod, I'm taking that on. You don't have to say it didn't come from you; it came from me. It came from me. That's right. Sapp and Moss, kiss my ass, kiss Raider Nation's ass. Okay. And that's not, Jarrod didn't say that. We did. So you're covered, Jarrod. We didn't. None of you said that. We did. Okay. So you're good. You're golden, brother. You're golden.
All right.
Hey, Ken. Thanks for calling in, partner. Appreciate you.
Thanks for calling in, kid.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
Me too.
All right, that's my cohort. If you wanna ask Jarrod Bunch a question, let's see how many people we still got in here. It's basically a private conversation, Jarrod. I think so many people they said that I want to call in, but I'm doing my fantasy football draft. So I forgot that we picked the one night because I don't do fantasy because I used to do fantasy, but my fantasy team is the Las Vegas Raiders, so I don't really care about anything like that. I don't root for particular players or anything like that. Do you get into the fantasy game or what do you do for fun?
I used to, and the former players, we used to have a league. We used to have a fantasy league, and we made it for, it was about, close to 10 years that we did it. And it was fun. Just now, man, it has become a full-time job almost. You have to make sure that you are up on all the play. You are like a real GM. You need to know the players. You need to know what they've been up to. You need to know what their strengths are against specific teams. It's something, and it just became too much. It became too much.
Yeah. Now when I did, I played like 4 times, and I won 3 of them. And I should have won the 4th one, but they had some stupid tiebreaker, and it pissed me off that I wasn't in the Super Bowl game or whatever. But as you said, it's you have to be, and I'm very competitive, so I was so involved in trying to do all the things I needed to do. But I would hate when the last time that I did this, I had a certain quarterback who used to play for the Cheatriots that now plays for the local team, whose name I can't remember, and he was my quarterback way back when. And he won me the league, but I couldn't stand rooting for him because to me, I will always associate with a certain fumble that your fellow alumni recovered in the game in the snow in New England, and I will forever despise that. So I can't root for players that I really don't like. That's why I just stopped doing it after a while.
That was, it was a good and a not so good thing about fantasy football. I used to watch football games sometimes, I still love football, but it wasn't like I had to watch the game until I got back into fantasy football. And when I got back into fantasy football, and if I had a player that was playing, I had to watch that game. I had to watch it. And it wasn't about the team. It was about that player. Right.
And I can't stand that. Now what I should do is I should give out like my services as a guru, or as a ask Captain Jack the question of who you would take. Hey, I got this guy in a PPR league or PPL. I can't remember what the acronym is. And I got to play him, and then I got a down. Was that I'm on a bye week with this? Who would you play, this guy or this guy? I helped so many people when I was down in Cuba. I can't say what I was doing in Cuba, but let's just say I was sports broadcasting, because I did that on the side as well. So I helped people with their fantasy, but I didn't want to do it myself because it's too much time. And I want to spend, if I'm spending an inordinate amount of time when I'm not doing my job here, I'm doing it here on YouTube, or I'm doing it with, things that are tied into Captain Jack. So I will gladly spend time doing this. Now I got one more for you. First off, by the way, thank you. Tell your wife that we appreciate you allowing us to steal you away for at least an hour and a half of your time, because I know that eventually she's going to say, hey, why aren't you taking me out to dinner on a Friday night and talking with this clown who's dressed like a pirate? I know that's coming.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
So I'm going to go ahead, sir.
Keep it down.
Yes, sir. And I will get you out on this. And by the way, when you come to Orlando, and obviously you have my number. When you come to Orlando, hopefully we'll get a chance to meet in person, and you can see, the room. You're only seeing a very small portion of it, of the shrine that I have here to the right. It's my studios, but it's a great place, and I definitely would love to have you over here, because it's only a hop, skip, and a jump away if you're going to go see your brother in Orlando.
Okay, no, bro. All
Okay.
right.
I got one final one for you, and this obviously is Raider oriented. Why the hatred, for the most part, of all of these people that see the Raiders as a less than 500 team this year, when they're going from a 7-9 record when they were actually 9-7 last year? The NFL took 2 wins away from them, so they were really 9-7. But they said now they got them at like Colin Cowherd, and yes, I said that correctly. He has them at 5-11. There's a lot of hatred out there. What are your feelings towards what we can expect from the Vegas Raiders this year? Now, granted, it's a COVID year. It's a different portion where the NFL, some of the teams are going to be playing with fans, some are not. And I disagree with that. And that's the second portion of the question. What are your thoughts on some teams playing with fans and some teams playing without fans? And then what's your thought of how the Raiders should stack up? The Jarrod Bunch GM overview, because I know you talk to Mike Mayock all the time. I know he's probably got you on, quick chat. You're like push one for Jarrod, and Mike Mayock bounces all his things across you. So I know that you are giving that great input to Mike, and then with John. So what do you see about the Raiders this year? And then what are your thoughts about teams playing some with fans, some without fans? And why is that even discussed when it should be, I hate saying it, across the board, it should be no fans across the board?
First, with the team, I think that what you are hearing is, listen, these guys are getting paid to give correct insight on what they are feeling out, seeing, and they're estimating. And I agree with them. Listen, the Raiders got rid of a lot of talent over the years. And it's curious to see what their bottom line in making these moves is, because when you get rid of one of the best linebackers in the game today, you get rid of some other player, a receiver, you get rid of other players for what? What is the reason that you're getting rid of these players? And when there's no clear cut and dry reason, it makes it difficult for people to see your vision when you come up with a record like they had last year. So if they have a better than expected record this year, then they're winning. They're not only winning in games, they're winning in the way that they're taking steps and carrying the franchise. But the track record does not show that they're moving in the right direction with some of the moves. So I have to agree with what you've heard.
Oh man, you're bumming me out, man. I kind of sound like the guy in the old movie. Yeah, no. You ever seen the? I'm sure you've seen the old movie, Kelly's Heroes. With Donald Sutherland when he was young, and then the guy who played Captain Stubing was like, always with the negative waves, Moriarty. Always with the negative waves. You're giving me negative waves, Jarrod. No, I can't do that.
I don't want to give you negative. I just want to give you what I see. And I think that the guys that are doing the analysis are basing it on what the past has shown. But we'll see.
Okay.
That's why they play the games. And there has to be some end the reasoning for they make the moves that they're making, and we just hope that it's the right ones. And this is not something. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint.
I got you.
So we will see. We will see. And as far as the fans go, I don't think the players. When I say the players may be affected, it might even be better for some of the younger guys to play the game, because now they can actually focus on what they need to focus on without thinking about, being who's watching and who needs tickets and who needs to be set up this way and that way and all that stuff. All they got to do is worry about it. It's like a scrimmage. I mean, it's like practice. You know, at practice, it's not a practice. They're not always no one's there. They gotta, may have some people there. But so now you're playing games. It's just like another regular practice day. So
See,
I think
you're gonna get me to do my Allen Iverson impression right now. Not a game, not a game. You're talking about practice, not a game, not a game. Practice.
Practice.
Okay,
But
I had to throw that in there because, and if you give me playoff, I'll give you the other guy too. Playoffs.
Yeah.
Playoffs.
I don't think there should be fans, but it's okay if they want to. I would feel safer, for everyone involved. That fans that watch it, but I think you will see some good play, just like in basketball. I think you're seeing some good basketball right now with no fans. I think that in football you will see some good playing because the guys don't have to worry about who's watching, and that they got to walk back into the locker room and hear this one talking about you suck and you stink and you shouldn't be. All they can focus on playing. That's it. They don't have to worry about all the extra stuff.
And I agree with you in that respect. But what I'm saying is you have teams like the Raiders who have no fans in the stands. And then you have teams like Kansas City who said, okay, we're going to have 22% capacity. And I figured it out mathematically, which was about 16,000 fans. If you put 16,000 fans in Arrowhead, even if they're dispersed, they're predominantly going to be all Kansas City fans, like normally anyway. You'll see some pockets of black and silver in there because you always do that. But why isn't the NFL making it like just across the board that there should be no fans like they do in basketball, like they do in baseball, like they have in hockey? Why is they now with the ownership, like with Jerry Jones and some of the more influential owners saying, well, I want my fans in there because I need to make the bucks?
I think that if something happens, it will change. If something happens, if someone comes up with something, it will change. That's all.
Okay. Well, we'll be there, and I can't call you up on speed dial like Mike Mayock does. So I'm just gonna have to email you or Instagram you and saying, hey, and you can get back with me when you can as well. But Jarrod, honestly, I want to thank you so much for being here. This is my first webcast again with dual live cameras, and I've enjoyed it. It's a lot more interactive that way, and it's definitely enjoyable. Make sure that you put your friends out there saying that, hey, if you want to see me on camera with some old pirate, make sure you watch the interview, and because you're wonderful, and they'll say, who the hell is that clown with you, and why is he dressed like that? And then you can say, well, that's just a typical Raider fan, but that's beyond typical. I am Captain Jack, so I got to hopefully make that a good thing for you as well. And I've really definitely enjoyed it, and all the other people here have enjoyed it as well. If you see me going back and forth, it's only because I was checking for comments and other things that I needed to let you know about as well.
All right, brother. Good to be with you. I will definitely make sure that people see this, or I'll put something out to make sure that they see this link on YouTube. And I'll come back and we'll talk about once the season starts, or let's see how the Raiders end up. Will they be a better team than 5-11? We'll see. Will there be 16 games played this year? That's the question. That
is a good question. And baseball had aspirations to do 60. I don't think that's going to get done, but at least they're going to get the majority done. Obviously basketball and hockey have had very limited, if zero incidents, because they're bubbleized. So they're going to be good to go. Baseball is at least going to get the majority of their seasons working with the win percentage, but you get one team that is wiped out because of COVID, and that the dominoes are horrible, and hopefully it won't happen. But like you said, we got to see if it happens.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jarrod, I'm going to end the broadcast. Please don't leave the broadcast studio yet until afterwards, because I definitely want to thank you for being here, and I know all the other people will, and it's definitely enjoyable listening to you with Al Davis with a stopwatch, making sure that you were out there. That's a great Al Davis story. Hey, what do you mean you want me to do a sprint series? Oh my God.
Sprint test.
There you go. Again, well, I'm going to end it, but again, I thank you for your time, and I'll let you go hang out with the wife on a Friday night, because I don't want her any more mad at me. This way, we'll see each other when you get here to Orlando for sure. I'm right down the street. Thanks again, Jarrod. Stick around for a little bit in the back room, and we'll be ending this broadcast. Thanks again for joining the captain and Jarrod Bunch on the Black Shield and Galleon Wheel webcast. Join us Monday for Bob Grant of the Retired NFL Players Congress, and next Friday it's Jack Squirick talking about the last time the Raiders won a Super Bowl, and it was here in Tampa, by the way, when he picked off Joe Theismann, and all of his memories as Raiders. We'll see you for our